We are going to go straight now to the NRL CEO Andrew Abdo, who has been busy in commission emergency talks all afternoon and evening and just got off the phone to all NRL clubs tonight. Andrew, thank you so much for your time. We understand that relocation is on the cards. We want to get a sense from you, I guess, how that all unfolded today and what it's actually going to look like.
Good evening, Laura. Yes, it's been, and we always knew we needed to be prepared if the situation changed rapidly. It has. And we obviously saw some really concerning numbers coming out of New South Wales this morning. So this afternoon, the Commission met and supported the decision to relocate 12 teams effectively to Queensland. And we are now working with the Queensland government on obtaining the necessary exemptions and the logistics. This will be probably for us the most challenging and sophisticated logistical exercise that we've undertaken in, I'm not sure since when, but we will get safely and securely 12 clubs relocated into 3 hubs in Queensland, mainly in the Gold Coast and in Brisbane and in the Sunshine Coast. That'll be where the 3 hubs will be. And we will operate those clubs out of those hubs for a period of 4 weeks, and we will reschedule all of the games that were originally scheduled to be played in New South Wales to either Suncorp Stadium, Seabus, or the Sunshine Coast Stadium.
Andrew Braithy, congratulations on the work that you guys are doing. You're doing a fantastic job now. With the relocation, are you prepared for the players to be up there for the remainder of the season up until grand final?
Yeah, Braith, what we're doing is we're locking in some certainty for the next 4 rounds. And that buys us some time to figure out how the situation unfolds in New South Wales. If we need to extend to the end of the season, then we will. We know that we have the capacity to absorb that, and we're going to make this as comfortable as we can for the clubs and the players and their families. So we're going to commit to taking 40-odd players and officials up from the 12 teams, and we're also going to support getting their immediate family members there as well. Now, that'll be for a 4-week period, but if we need to extend to the end of the season, then we will.
Andrew, you had a 6 p.m. phone hookup with all 16 club CEOs. What's the reaction been from the NRL club bosses?
The same as last year, James. Everyone is completely aligned. And rugby league's a team sport, and working with the clubs has been terrific. Everyone was on board. The oral player was on the call. The club CEOs were on the call, and we are kicking into implementation mode now. So I think everyone is aligned to 2 things. One is, how do we keep everyone safe? And 2, how do we keep the competition going? And this is the only way we can do that at the moment. And so everyone is now working collectively over the next 2 to 3 days, which will be incredibly busy, on making sure we do all we have to do to get the players on a charter and up to Queensland on Wednesday, I should say.
Andrew, we talk about the teams all going up there, but the logistics must be so difficult and you've got to do it so quickly. Tell us a bit about your team that puts all this together.
Yeah, Blocker, it's huge. I mean, so we're talking about 12 teams, but we're also talking about the match officials, and we're also talking about the element of organisation of putting on all of these games in these stadiums. So there are a lot of people working around the clock in order to make this happen. We are somewhat fortunate in that we've got people well trained now in becoming biosecurity liaison officers, becoming project managers in a crisis, and being able to roll out some pretty complicated matters. But look, it's a pretty dynamic situation. First and foremost, we have to keep everyone safe. Then we have to make sure that we keep the competition going, and everyone is completely aligned to doing that.
Andrew, what's going to be the situation with the players' families, and if they're going to relocate, and will you cater for them?
Yes. So we're going to support the players' immediate families. For those that opt into going, they will be supported in and essentially be staying at these exclusive facilities where we can get use of a hotel just for our own purposes. We need to work with the Queensland government on how we safely get those family members in and how they quarantine, and then they'll be essentially at the same base as the players thereafter.
Andrew, what about changes to the draw? What does round 18 next weekend look like?
Round 18 will continue exactly as the draw and the schedule is. Same time slots, same matches. The only difference is games that were scheduled to be played in either New South Wales or the ACT will be rescheduled to be played in Queensland at either Seabus Stadium, Suncorp Stadium or Sunshine Coast Stadium.
What about beyond that? Does the draw change beyond that?
No, we're gonna keep the draw. We're gonna keep certainty, and essentially the 25 rounds will unfold as they are scheduled. The only difference will be where we play those matches and whether or not we can have crowds. And there's an opportunity for us to get through the next 2 weeks, and then once we've safely quarantined the players into Queensland, for us to then think about potentially crowds, double headers, triple headers, and being quite inventive. There might be an opportunity to be quite innovative around how we then present those games for the remaining 2 weeks.
Andrew, what about our State of Origin stars? We know that they're in their own camps and their bubbles at the moment in Kingscliff and on the Gold Coast. Are they going to get an opportunity, the New South Wales-based ones, to go home, say goodbye to their loved ones, or are they now on the road and straight up to southeast Queensland?
Yeah, good question, Laura. We're working on a plan to essentially transport them from the state-based bubble into the club bubble. In all likelihood, that would mean that they would stay where they are now. From Kingscliff into Queensland, and obviously the Queensland-based team being on the Gold Coast already. And we will now work with the clubs and their families to ensure that they have whatever they need if they stay there. So hopefully we'll be reuniting them with their clubs and their families very soon after Origin, potentially as early as Thursday.
Andrew, I know you've been really busy, getting this across the line, and you will be for the next few days. But there has been more developments around the Dragons COVID bubble breach, and we understand that a couple of the players from St George Illawarra are not signing on those documents that they've been asked to. Can you tell us what that means, and will those two players be allowed to come up to southeast Queensland if they don't sign those documents?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of recap, really to close that down, we just want to make sure from a biosecurity perspective, the players were on a 14-day hold. In order for them to return to the bubble, they needed to be tested and be tested negative. That's completed. And we wanted to just make sure that the information that they had provided to us was accurate, and we asked them to confirm that in a written statement. We have, I believe, 10 players have completed that process. We're working with the club. We may or may not get the remaining 2 players to sign or not. Those that have will be permitted, obviously, and we'll work with the Queensland government, permitted to rejoin the Dragons bubble and, in all likelihood, then move on Wednesday with the rest of the team.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much. You have been flat out, and we really appreciate you taking up the time to give our viewers the latest information about the competition going forward. I know it's going to be a huge week ahead. We wish you all the best, and thank you again.
No problem. Thanks, Laura. I mean, if I can just say one thing to all the fans, we all do everything in our power collectively as a sport to make sure that we keep playing and we keep the competition going as safely as possible. And that's what we intend to do.
Thank you, Andrew, very much.